So today we're going to talk about the SAVE Act, which stands for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, which is a nice sounding title, but it's not going to do what you think it's going to do. So we're looking at this from the perspective of a woman needing to register to vote or to update her registration if she moves or any of these things. So basically, it's an act that, in theory, is supposed to protect from illegal voter registration. Well, first of all, what it doesn't need to do is do that because it's already illegal for a non-citizen to vote. So it's already in place. So that's one thing that we just don't need it for that. But what they're asking for is that you have to have a birth certificate and a current ID that matches the name on your birth certificate. So that means when people need to register or to move and re-register or do anything like that, that they're going to need to produce at least two forms of identification, a birth certificate and then also a current ID that has the same name. Now, think about that for a minute. And then, so what kinds of identifications will work? So there's a bunch of different ones. There's passports. There's what's called a real ID, which not all states have instituted, but some states have. So it's a special driver's license or an ID card that you have to go through a lot more to prove who you are in order to get it. There's a valid military ID. There's forms of tribal identification and proof of naturalization. And so many of these forms either include a birth certificate or must be presented alongside of a birth certificate. But people of color, married people, or as well as young people or elderly people are often more likely to have difficulty in accessing these documents easily or within a reasonable length of time. So the courts have repeatedly rejected attempts by state governments to enact proof of citizenship acts in order to register to vote, similar to the SAVE Act. So this has repeatedly failed in the courts. In addition, what's really dangerous in this act is it creates a mandatory prison sentence to any registration worker who registers people without proper identification. Now, if you're a registrar and you have any doubts at all, or you're just going through the normal thing and you goof or whatever, I mean, you're not about to take any chances because you're going to go to prison. It's not just jail, or it's not just a fine. It's not just a slap on the wrist. Prison. So in the SAFE Act, they have a provision that requires states to provide a fail-safe process for people to provide the missing documents. It's vague, and it's made more challenging by the fact that, again, they're going to go to prison if they goof up. So what makes it hard for women in particular? So the Act does not include, as part of the approved documentation, is any legal work that has been done in order to change somebody's name. So all of the women, all of you who decided to change your name to your husband's name when you get married, that won't count. And anybody who has decided to change their name for any other reason and have the name change paperwork, that doesn't count. I'm one of them. I went and got married. I changed my name to my husband's name, and then later we got divorced and I changed it back. Well, now it matches my birth certificate, sort of, except I gave myself a middle name. So who knows what's going to happen when I need to go and change my registration for some reason if I move. So this is not a good thing. Plus, changing your name legally is not an insignificant process. So will women want to change their names just to vote? I mean, there's so many other reasons to have your name the way you want it. So to do it just to vote, what's going to happen with that? So a lot of women are not going to be able to register according to the SAVE Act. You might be one of them. So the cost to change your name varies by state. Every state has their own process and their own fees that they charge. So as far as I could tell when I was doing a quick look, it costs between $100 and $500 to change your name. But that does not include all of the work that you have to do when you change your name in terms of changing everything else in your life. All of your bank accounts, your credit cards, your accounts here and there, your friends. I mean, it's just everywhere that you have to go around and do that. And it takes years to actually get it all sorted out. This SAVE Act is not going to save anything. It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote, and it's going to make it much harder for people who legitimately can register to vote. So call your representatives, call your senators, call everybody you can, and tell them to vote no on the SAVE Act.